Hi, my name is Isabella. I'm here with Kiana Madeira, and we are so happy to have her. She recently just moved here from, you said, the East Coast?
Yes, New York.
How was that?
It was amazing. I love New York City, but the weather here is unmatched.
A lot
So
better.
happy to be here.
And you came from Toronto originally, I think you
Yes,
said?
born and raised in Toronto, actually a city just outside of Toronto called Mississauga, but nobody knows what that is over here, so I always just say Toronto.
You are working on Malcolm in the Middle. It's having a revival. Your character, Tristan, is described as someone who's very charming, but also disrupts the existing family dynamic. What was your thought process entering into this role?
Well, I think for me, being a supporting character, obviously, the show is about Malcolm and his family, and it's a big responsibility jumping in and playing Malcolm's girlfriend. I think for me, I was like, okay, I'm a huge fan of the original show, so I feel like I know these characters so well, which really, really helped.
Hmm.
But I was thinking, if I was Malcolm's girlfriend, how could I be a support to Malcolm, and what would Malcolm need? And
Mm.
I know that Malcolm is very neurotic, an overthinker. He's kind of chaotic. So for me, I was like, I think a really good in, like, character wise, would be to just be like a grounding anchor for
Hmm.
him. Obviously, the family is like dysfunctional in like the most amazing and fun way, but I think it would be really cool. I thought it would be really cool if Tristan like contributed a feminine energy in a way that was like, a little bit of a support system for him and knew how to stand her ground, but most importantly, didn't want to change who he is at his core. Like, Tristan loves Malcolm and just wants to like help steer him in the right direction in a loving and gentle way. But she also has like her own little crazy sides too, which we get to see in the show. And I love that about her. She's not just one thing.
We actually got some intel ahead of this week from Keely. We sat down with her last week, and she described you as being someone she trusted very deeply on set, and even joked about you being her almost stepmom. What do you remember about building that relationship between you guys on and off camera?
I mean, Keely is the best. Like, I think she was 15 when we were filming. She's so talented, like so professional, and just such an amazing actress. I felt like I really cared about taking her under my wing just because I was also a young actress and I know what it can be like if you're working with adults and it can be intimidating sometimes, but I really just wanted to make sure that she felt super comfortable, like in any way that I could support her. It was really like important to me that I could be like, like stepmom vibes. We joked about that because Malcolm's girlfriend, like
Yeah.
Loki would be her
Yeah.
stepmom, but like definitely big sister vibes.
Totally.
I actually met Keely for the chemistry read that I had with her and Frankie before we got cast. Yeah, so we were mixing and matching different Tristans and different Leahs, and I met her there. And I feel like, honestly, from the first time we read together in the chemistry read, like we did have a natural dynamic. She's very present as an actress and very easy to work off of, which is obviously like very helpful for me. But I think the fact that we really got along off set and we talked and we trusted each other definitely made us feel more comfortable when we were doing our scenes together and allowed us to like play and try new things.
Yeah, I think it's really good to have that dynamic between you guys and the trust. It really translates on screen.
Mm.
The initial exchange between you and Keely's characters has a very specific comedic cadence that is very sharp, layered, and almost musical. How much of that was discovered? You said a lot was discovered during like rehearsal,
Mm-hmm.
offset. Was it more, it just came naturally?
No, that scene was so fun to play with. And one thing that I really love about this show is our creator and executive producer Linwood Boomer
Hmm.
and our director Ken Kwapis. They worked like Linwood created Malcolm in the Middle, the original. It's loosely based off of his life. Like he was Malcolm and his family. And Ken Kwapis directed so many of the original episodes. So when they brought Ken on to direct all four, I knew stepping into it that like these people know the show in and out. They know the rhythm. And Linwood is just such an amazing writer that he writes everything very specifically with that kind of comedic timing in mind. So we did have table reads where we could find the rhythm, but that was actually the scene that we had for our chemistry read. So it's funny because you never get coached from the writer or director before going into an audition. You kind of have to have that rhythm in mind already.
Mhm.
And thank God we did. So in our audition, we like played in that way and like found that rhythm and like all the little nuances that were in the show. We basically had in the audition as well. Probably one of the main reasons we got cast, honestly, because we kind of had that natural rhythm and dynamic already. But Linwood was super good, and Ken, about like making little tweaks, like time it here and like pause here and leave a beat here to really make sure we hit the comedic timing. It's so important for a show like this. Like as much as it's not like, super sitcom with a live audience and like laugh track and everything, the comedic timing is what makes it so special. So yeah, no, we had a great support system on set to like listen and really make sure we were hitting those beats, but I do think a lot of it came naturally to us, which was really fun.
Zooming out a little bit, you've been navigating this whole other layer of stepping into a legacy cast. Did that change the way you approached your collaboration or performance? I know you said you already kind of knew everything about the show, so you kind of came into it with that intention.
Yeah, I think being a fan of the original show definitely helped because I knew kind of where I would fit in the puzzle, like in the big picture. Um, but yeah, like even when we were filming in Vancouver, I was watching the original show, like rewatching it just to like immerse myself in the world. But it was really cool. It had been almost 20 years since the cast saw each other. And for me, getting to witness them so effortlessly dive back into their characters was like very impressive, and they were all very, very welcoming and super kind and gracious, so I did feel like it was easy to find my place. Also, I know in the original show, like Malcolm had some girlfriends, but he never really had a serious relationship.
Mhm.
And him being grown up now, I'm like, I was just excited for, like, to play with him in that way. To like, and Frankie is such an amazing actor that he was super easy to work with, not awkward at all, which is always very helpful too. But yeah, I think just knowing the cast, like knowing their characters so well, really helped me find my place.
I think you being able to honor something that already exists, but also making enough space for yourself is
Yes.
very important. You've actually worked with a lot of different genres. What felt different about stepping into this kind of comedy, and what do you think surprised you the most?
That's a great question. I actually got my start in comedy in Canada when I was
Okay.
younger. My first big role was on a sitcom called Really Me, and it was on Family Channel there, which is like basically our Disney Channel. So I remember when I booked the role, the director handed me a book called, it was basically like sitcom for dummies, and it was like, and it was like how to like the comedic timing and like the equation to telling a joke. Like so much
Mhm.
about comedy is about math and timing. So I learned that kind of like as a foundation as an actor. But then, like you said, I like went off and ventured off and did like horror and like action and different genres. So stepping back into the comedic space felt in a way like home to me, I think because I had that foundation. But at the same time, like I felt like I was like a sponge on set, like just working with such veteran actors like Bryan Cranston and Jane Kazimierz and Frankie Muniz and the entire cast who had done this for so many years and just knew this world inside out. I was on set just like soaking it all in and being like, how can I just have fun in this job and in this role? And I think I learned that from the cast. Like no one took anything too seriously. I think it's important, especially doing comedy, to have fun and
Yeah.
not take it too seriously. So because the cast created that space for me to like play and be goofy and like joke around, it helped a lot.
Yeah. So, what do you think was your favorite part of this comedy?
Like this type of comedy.
Yeah.
I think the physical comedy. I
Mhm.
think there's you could do a lot of comedic roles and work on different comedic projects. But the thing that I love about Malcolm in the Middle is how physical the comedy is. Like specifically, I would say Hal, like Bryan Cranston, who plays Hal, so physically funny. Like, and audiences will see in this reboot, like he's so great at what he does because he like gives his whole body to his
Mhm.
performance, and the writers know that, so they write specifically like very physical comedic things for him. And I think my character too, yeah, we got to do some like really funny stunts, and in the anniversary party there's a lot of hijinks that happens there, and like as very true Malcolm in the Middle energy, like very chaotic.
Hmm.
So getting to just play with that physically and like not only having to rely on dialogue to be the jokes, like really allowing yourself to like throw your whole body into it. I really like that.
Yeah, really just fully immerse yourself into all of the scenes and the characters.
Yep.
I want to shift gears a little bit
Hmm.
because you've been expanding what you do behind the scenes, actually. You've started producing. Has that changed the way you look at your scripts or approach any of your projects?
That's a great question. Definitely, I think starting my producing journey has removed a little bit of like an actor's ego and tendency to like only think about their character and themselves and the whole picture of a project. So now when I'm reading scripts, I'm thinking more about, okay, like the big picture, I guess, like where does my character fit in and how can I serve this story as opposed to like kind of making it more about myself,
Hmm.
which I think as actors we can naturally do because when you're an actor and you're stepping on set, like that is kind of your one job, like play your character and tell your side of the story.
Hmm.
But now being behind the scenes and like the first movie I really produced, I would say like from the ground up, is a film that's in a festival circuit right now. It's called Baby Love,
Hmm.
and I'm a producer on it, and I also star in it. It's about an MMA fighter who's on the brink of self destruction. She wants nothing more than to make it as an MMA fighter, but she suffers from traumatic brain injury, so she's pretty unhinged, suffers from mood swings, and her emotions are all over the place. She gets court ordered to attend equine therapy, so working with horses,
Hmm.
and she has to heal, like physically, spiritually, and mentally. And she's faced with a decision if is fighting really worth it, and is it what she wants to continue to do? So that movie was super fun to dive into. And just speaking as a producer, like I got to watch the first cut of the film, and I've never seen a first cut of something before. So the sound wasn't mixed, the color wasn't corrected. Like it was basically the bare bones of the footage, like what we shot on that day. And I remember watching it in my hotel room at the time, and I was like, oh my gosh, we don't have a movie. Like there's no way. Like this I don't know. I don't think this is gonna work. And then they were like talking me off the ledge, like, no, trust me, this is how every first cut looks like. Like this is what it is. It's gonna get there and everything. And I was like, this is so cool to really trust the process.
Yeah.
So I think now as an actor, taking the pressure off of like, it's never going to be perfect off jump, but it's such a collaboration. It's not just about me and my performance. It's not just about what I'm bringing. Like, I have so much respect for the editor, like for the crew across the board now. And I think as much as I had respect for them before, I've really been able to see like how their work lends to what audiences end up seeing at the end of the day.
I mean, you can really put yourself in their shoes now. And
Yep.
I think that helps you both while you're acting and behind the scenes,
Yep.
seeing everything unfold and trusting the process. I think that's super cool. I mean, not many people get to experience that. You were mentioning your character in Baby Love. She suffers from a traumatic brain injury while she's also trying to pursue a professional MMA career. You've also mentioned how you're drawn to emotionally layered characters. What signals you to a role that has depth versus just the appearance of it?
Is a good question. I think the writing is what I'm drawn to first, but at the same time, I think it's a little bit of a lazy excuse for me as an actor if I'm just like, oh, this writing is not emotionally layered. I think it's my job as an actor to always find the layers within a character. So that is kind of like where I start with. Like even with auditions, like before stepping on set, even for characters that I don't end up booking, it's my responsibility and I'm passionate about finding the emotional layers as opposed to, like, even if I read a script and I'm like, it's not all there for me on the page. It's my job to make it there for me. So I think like finding contradictions in the writing is very interesting to me. So if my character is saying, for example, like, I'm not afraid of that, but then she's avoiding confrontation in her actions. That to me is like enough to signal like emotional depth because I'm like, okay, she's not just what it appears on the surface. Like she's saying one thing, but she's doing another thing. So where can I now find the emotion in that and like kind of connect with that in a way that would be surprising to the audience, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
you
Yeah.
really have to bring the character to life in a
Yes.
sense. And I think it's really cool that you're able to differentiate those little things. Like coming from someone who doesn't read scripts, like just looking at the words, that's all you see.
Yeah.
But there's a whole other 1,000 layers to just a single sentence. Like I mentioned before, you don't usually stick to one lane. You're very well rounded in your genres. From Fear Street to Perfect Addiction, you've built a very well rounded career. Do you see that as something that's intentional or instinctive?
I think a little bit of both. I think I definitely come from a place of like instinct when I'm like drawn to roles of like even when I'm receiving auditions, like some auditions I get and I'm like okay, I can see myself doing this, but there are some auditions that I get where I'm like, oh no, like I connect to this immediately, and I think that's where my instinct comes into play. But I also like do my best to leave it up to God to be like, I just trust that the roles that I do get are going to be the ones that God wants me to do. So my intention in my career is always in alignment with my prayer. And like I care first and foremost what God's plan is for me. I can't see like the end of my career, and I don't try to. I like to be surprised by like getting a call back here and I'm like, whoa, I didn't really think that was the one that I was gonna like, move forward with, or like getting a booking here. And I like to be surprised. But I think instinctive wise, I like to practice my instinct more when it comes to creating characters and be intentional with my roles, yes. But I mean, to be completely honest, coming off of the pandemic, coming off of the strike, like I think most actors, including myself, are in a space where we just want to like create and collaborate with other cool creatives and tell stories. So I'm like just feeling excited about everything that's coming through. I'm like, ooh, I feel like I can find something I love in everything. And I like the challenge of like, not knowing what I want to do. I think I could limit myself if I'm like, I only want to do this type of role next. So I really try to like keep it open.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it wouldn't be good to limit yourself in anything. And I
Right.
think having that perspective of like it's going to work out, you trust it's going to work out.
For sure. Like even when I got the audition for Malcolm in the Middle, I mean, being such a huge fan of the show, I received the audition, and I remember it was before the Christmas break. And I was like, oh, Malcolm in the Middle. I was on the go. I was like checking on my phone. I'm like, Malcolm in the Middle, what the heck? I assumed they were gonna do a reboot like with a different cast, like not bring
Mhm.
back the original cast. So I'm reading more in the email and it's like Frankie Muniz, Bryan Cranston, Jane Casimira coming back. And I was like, whoa. And then I'm like, okay, well, what's my character? Because then sometimes you read your character and you're like, oh, they're looking for someone in their 40s. Like, why am I even getting this? Like, it's not going to be me. But everything felt like, I'm like, oh, yeah, that sounds like me. That sounds like me. Malcolm's girlfriend. Like, I even like the name Tristan. I remember me like, I could totally play Tristan. Like, just like feeling confident about it all. So that was one where I was like, instinctively, I felt connected. Intentionally, I was like, I think this would be great for my career. This would be a great next move. So all the things kind of came into play. And then thank God it was in the stars for me. So it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, and if you limited yourself, you wouldn't have gotten to experience any of that.
Exactly.
So,
It's so easy to get in your own way and like get in your head and overthink things and be like, no, I'm going to pass on this because I know they're going to be looking for someone else. Like, I just try not to do that.
because you
Yeah.
never know, and what will work out will. And
Amen.
so you were mentioning about your career in comedy.
Mhm.
You said you started out when you were younger, which brings me to something I'm kind of curious about. Coming from a very multicultural background, you've spoken about it being very important to you. Has it influenced the kinds of roles that you are drawn to? And do you find that your background shapes the way you connect to certain characters more than others?
Hmm. I think so. I think coming from a multicultural background has infused so much of like who I am. And like, I mean, my dad's Portuguese, and I'm very passionate about telling Portuguese specific stories because we don't really see a lot of those. So it's very rare for me that I play a culturally specific character that's true to my actual background. I don't
Mhm.
think, I mean, I'm Portuguese, Irish, Black Canadian, and Indigenous Canadian. And I don't know who's writing a character like that, but someone please do. Or it's going to be me.
Yeah.
But other, like, I mean, so I'm always looking at characters, I think, from more of a human perspective, and then sprinkling in, like, my cultural background in ways that make sense. And for example, I think being Portuguese, like, my family, my Portuguese side of the family is super passionate. So like growing up around like, louder and passionate people, I think definitely plays a role in like what I bring to some of my characters. I see so much of my mom and my dad and all the characters that I play like in different ways.
Hmm.
And I love how much they've influenced me and like how it's reflected on screen. So yeah, I think definitely. I think there's ways that my culture has lent itself on screen, but I think there's still so much room to be even more specific, and I'm excited to tell those stories when the opportunity comes.
Yeah, I think it's amazing when who you are and what you do connect naturally, and you can always feel when it's genuine. And I think the audience can totally feel it as well.
Looking at you, now I have a feeling that you are also multicultural, am I right?
Yes, you are
What
correct.
is your background?
My mom is Chinese and Cambodian. My dad is African American, Nigerian, and then he has a little mix of native Irish, British.
Wow. That is
Yes.
amazing. So I feel like you know what I mean when like it's hard to think about your background when you're so mixed of just like one thing, but in
Mhm.
different areas in your life and your career, there's probably moments where you're like, I
You
can
can
draw
see
on
it
that.
coming through.
Yes.
Yeah. And then
Yeah.
just being like kind of racially ambiguous, I think you can relate how you can kind of squeeze into multiple different cultures and roles
Exactly.
while still being true to yourself.
Yep. Yeah, I'm very, very grateful for that. I feel like I've been able to tell stories and play characters from all different kinds of backgrounds, and it's not something that I take for granted at all.
Looking ahead, what do you think is a challenge or a type of role, genre that you haven't taken on yet and it feels slightly intimidating, but you think it's necessary for your growth?
That's a great question. I think I've played so many like younger characters, which I'm also grateful for because I know there's going to be a point in my career. Not everyone ages, and it's a blessing to age. But like, there's going to be a point in my career where I'm like, okay, I can no longer play like college or high school or whatever. I'm really excited to be able to play a mom one day. I don't have kids in real life, not yet. God willing, soon. Because I don't know. I just feel like so many of my friends that I grew up with are moms, and seeing them and like how they balance everything. I would love to like play a mom on screen. And at the same time, I will also say, I think like diving more into professional roles as opposed to playing like younger people. One thing that always comes to mind when I think about it that I think would be challenging and also really interesting for me is like playing a rookie detective. I could see myself playing a rookie detective in like a gritty, like either film or like limited series, and like, a detective who's had to like who has a lot to prove, but like maybe is like personally connected to a case, and like just I love playing characters with so much heart, and I think using like my analytical brain and like leaning into a character in that way, so playing a detective or even like a spy would be super super cool and challenging.
Yeah, I think both of those roles would be really cool. And even with Malcolm, you are kind of able to tap into the stepmom, almost mom kind of.
Yep.
And I think that would be like a good foot in the door for future roles if you want to be more of a mother like figure.
Yep.
And I think that's a great experience. And becoming a spy would be
I know.
even crazier. You've already done like basically almost every genre there is.
Yeah, I
Like,
guess when you think about it like that, that's true. I love horror too, so like I do not mind repeating genres. I feel like there's a lot of stories to tell, but you're so right about Malcolm in the Middle too. I think especially playing like more of a stepmom,
mhm.
it's believable that I would be a stepmom to someone of that age as opposed to like, her being my actual
Yeah.
child. So yeah, it was cool like playing a stepmom role, and you never know if we get more episodes, I can dive into that a little further too. That'd
I
be super
know.
cool.
Prepare yourself for real motherhood.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I heard that you have a production company. Can you tell us some more about that?
Yes, I do. It's called Tabia Studios. My producing partner and I, her name is Zara Bentham, a sister of mine, a best friend, and also producing partner. We are in the midst of launching our production company. We're getting our slate together, currently circling IP to get rights to and produce. I am an avid fiction reader, so I am consistently reading books and really just circling books that I gravitate towards. We care very much about telling stories centered around female characters, specifically women of color, and providing voices to communities that are often underrepresented. So there's a lot to come with that. And in addition to circling IP, we're writing our own scripts and working with amazing writers. We'll have projects across the board in terms of genres. But yeah, shout out Tavia Studios and Zara Bentham. That is very exciting and lots to come with that.
Yes, that sounds amazing. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
With everything you've accomplished in your career so far, what's next?
What's next? So, I have a very exciting film coming out later this year. It was the first time I got to lead a survival thriller. So, different than a horror, this is a survivor thriller that's based in the Amazon rainforest. It's called Boyuna, Legend of the Amazon, and it was an incredible experience. It's gearing up to have a theatrical release, so I am very excited for audiences to see it. You get to see me lead this film in a brand new, fresh way. I speak with a new dialect, a different dialect. Yeah, it's very surprising. It'll have people on the edge of their seat. So I'm very, very, very excited for that. So stay tuned for more about that. And as I mentioned earlier, Baby Love, my feature film that I produce and star in, we're looking for a buyer and we're looking for a home for it. So whether that's a streamer or a theatrical release or distribution, it's doing its festival tour right now. So just having fun, visiting different cities and doing Q&As and showing up to carpets and shaking hands and meeting people for that. So those are two projects that I have coming out that I'm very excited about. And then, yeah, heading to New York next week to have the premiere of Malcolm in the Middle. So lots of exciting things happening, but also always just reading scripts, reading for cool projects, doing chemistry reads, Zoom meetings, and seeing what's next on the filming front. I'm excited to be back on set again.
That's so exciting. Congratulations on all your endeavors, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Great.